So, hi everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you, Jamie, for speaking. It's great to have you. As you might have heard, this is Jamie's first time speaking at one of our events, and we're glad to have her. So, Jamie Jackson Spannhake is a lawyer, writer, speaker, and work-life integration coach. She helps business professionals achieve more while doing less, so they can create the lives they truly want. Lives that have time and space to do all the things that she was told she couldn't do as a successful lawyer, like be a mom, play tennis, spend time with friends, and write a book. Her work with clients is based upon the principles in her book, The Lawyer, the Lion, and the Laundry, 3 hours to find your calm in the chaos, which is available at her website, jamiespannhake.com. Her work has appeared in print and online, including in Law Practice Magazine, attorneyatwork.com, Answering Legal, and smartsocial.com. She's also appeared on numerous podcasts, including Fit to Practice, XL Legal, Dyslexia Mom Life, and the Happy Lawyer podcast. She regularly writes and speaks on issues important to women and lawyers, including time and stress management, health and wellness, mindset and mindfulness, and work-life integration. Thanks again for speaking today, Jamie, and good luck with your presentation.
Thank you very much. So welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining me today for the workshop, Leveraging Others for Success. I am Jamie Jackson Spannhake, and I'm excited to be with you today. So thank you for being here. And also thank you to the Canadian Virtual Lawyers Conference team for hosting us today. I'm going to share my slides with you, and we'll get started. So today's webinar is designed to help you as a busy lawyer manage the responsibilities and obligations that compete for your time by showing you how to leverage others for success in both your personal and professional lives. So you may be wondering why you should listen to me. Well, the short answer is that I've lived the same too busy, too much stress life of practicing law. And the fact is, I'm still living it. I am a practicing attorney. I am a former big law lawyer from in Manhattan. I am currently a partner in a small law firm, and I'm also a coach for lawyers, certified as a health coach. And I tell you all of this so that you know that the tools and techniques that I recommend are grounded in a base of knowledge regarding wellness, and also that you know that I've tried these tools and techniques and I researched them and talked to lots of other lawyers about them to find out what works for them in time and stress management. So I want to share with you today some of the tools and techniques. So let's get started. So the first question that we want to answer, of course, is why do we want to leverage others? And when I say leverage others, I mean delegate. So why do we want to delegate? What is the benefit to us? Well, delegating and leveraging others is one of the most effective ways to achieve more while doing less. Most of us could really use some more time. I know I could. There never seems to be quite enough time to get it all done, whatever all is for you. It's different for each person. But when we leverage others, our productivity increases and our work-life integration increases. Now, some people are improves. Some people call it work-life balance. I like to call it work-life integration because I find that oftentimes life is not very balanced. There's more going on at work, or there's more personal responsibilities, so that it never seems totally balanced. So I like to think of it as integration, where it integrates together into one complete person in one whole life. So for me, effective delegation is what I call a twofer. It is improved work-life integration and improved productivity all at the same time. Now, when I work with clients, what I hear is that they avoid delegating, even though we know what a great benefit it can be to us. So why do we do that? Well, these are the things I hear. It takes more planning to delegate. I could do it myself more quickly. By the time I explain it to someone else, I could have done it myself. I also hear I don't trust others to do it right, or no one ever does the work correctly. These are real concerns. The good news is we can overcome these objections and these reasons by learning how to leverage others and delegate effectively. Now, the truth is that delegating will always be time intensive initially. There will always be an investment of time up front in order for us to delegate a task to someone else. What we have to keep in mind is that the return on investment is exponential. So what do I mean by that? Say there's a 30-minute task that takes 30 minutes to do that you want to delegate to someone. And it takes you an hour to delegate it, to plan and effectively delegate it to another person. So you might say, well, I could have just done it more quickly myself. But if this is a repetitive task, say something that has to happen every week, and you're delegating it to someone that you have a continuing working relationship with, then after 2 weeks, you will have gotten the hour back. And if that is a task that continues to be done by someone else every week, you're getting 30 minutes back in your week every single week. So we can overcome these first 3 objections to delegating by focusing on the return on investment of our time, so that the analysis is about the long-term effect of the time that we get back when we delegate effectively. Now, the last 2 objections on this slide we can overcome by learning how to delegate more effectively. And that's what we're going to learn now. So I have a systematized process for delegating. It's 8 steps. It's not very time consuming. And the beauty of it is that when we have a system for doing something like delegating, we do it the same way every time, which means that we get better at doing it and we start doing it automatically. So this is a great way to ensure that our delegation process remains consistent so that we improve. I will read the 8 steps to you, and then we'll drill down into each one separately. So the first step is to be clear. The second is choose wisely. The third is confirm your choice. Step 4 is explain. Step 5 is confirm your expectations. Step 6 is engage in questions. Step 7 is check in. And step 8 is review. So step 1 is be clear. And I mean to clearly define the task and the work product that you need to yourself. The first place we have to start in thinking about the task that we're delegating is being clear with ourselves what it is that we need and want. It's really hard for us to explain to someone else what we need if we're not really clear ourselves. So one of the areas that I practice law is litigation. So an example of this might be if I am delegating a portion of a memorandum of law to an associate. And I need that associate to do some research on a particular question and then get the results to me. So I would want to get really clear on exactly what the question is that I need answered. And I would want to be really clear with myself what the desired work product is. So do I want this associate to come have a conversation with me about the results of their research? Do I want this associate to just send me a summary email? Do I want this associate to draft up a portion of what's going to be a memorandum of law so that I can just cut and paste from that document into my final document that I'm going to be submitting to the court? So I want to be really clear with myself what the task is and what the work product is. Step 2 is to choose wisely. And by this, I mean choose wisely the person to whom you're going to delegate. So once we're really clear on what the task is and what the desired work product is, we want to identify people, hopefully more than one, but at least one, who have the availability and the ability to handle the task. So continuing on with my research example in litigation, I would want to identify someone who has research skills and also the ability to write a portion of a brief if that's the desired work product that I need. And then once I have identified at least one person who could handle the task, I want to go through like a little interview process with the person and make sure that they have these skills and they have the availability to handle the task. And then we want to choose the best person for the task. Next, we want to confirm that choice. And by this, I mean speaking to the person that you've chosen to do this task and confirming that they have the availability to do the work and meet your deadline. And in some instances, if it's applicable, the payment that would be involved. So this would come up in a work environment where maybe you have a third-party vendor that's doing some sort of work for the firm or for you as the lawyer, and there's some payment involved for that. So you would want to confirm that the payment that you're offering is acceptable to this third party. This could also come up in your personal life when you are paying someone to handle tasks for you. So that might be maybe a virtual assistant that you've hired to handle things. It could be a babysitter. It could be a house cleaner. Any person that is handling a task for you rather than you handling it yourself. So you want to confirm availability, confirm that the person can meet your deadline, and that payment is acceptable if that's applicable. Step 4 is to explain. Now, this is the heart of delegation. This is where you're going to spend the bulk of your time in delegating a task, and that's explaining the task to the person to whom you're delegating. So we want to clearly explain the underlying facts and circumstances. We don't want to only explain the narrowly defined task of what we're asking the person to do. We want to explain the big picture so that the person to whom you're delegating understands how the task that they are working on fits into the big picture. And this is good for helping everyone feel like part of a team and that we're working toward a common goal. But it's also really important because there will be decision points throughout the task, throughout the project, where the person to whom you delegated will have to make a decision about which track to go on in the project that they're working on. So continuing with the research example, there may be times when following one line of cases would slightly veer toward this issue, and following another line of cases would slightly veer toward a different issue. And when the person to whom we've delegated has the big picture, they know which track to go down. After we've explained the big picture, the underlying facts and circumstances, we want to clearly define the task itself and the desired work product. So this is exactly step 1 again. You defined it clearly to yourself in step 1. Now you are stating it to the person to whom you're delegating. We also want to clearly explain our expectations and the reasons for them. This, again, is about having everyone be on the same team so that we're working toward a common goal. And a good example of explaining your expectations and the reasons for them, there's 2 of them. One is, say you have a deadline you want by a date certain, you want the results. And the results, the desired work product that you want, is a portion of a memorandum of law that you can cut and paste from to put into the document that you're going to be filing with the court. So you want to explain to the person to whom you've delegated that the reason you have these two expectations is that you want their draft by, let's say, Monday, because the final draft has to be filed in court on Thursday. And you want to explain to them that you need it on Monday because you need to be able to incorporate it into the final document that's going to be filed. So that gives them context for why that is the deadline. And the same is true for the desired work product. So if or when the person to whom you're delegating knows how this work product is going to be used, they'll spend the appropriate amount of time on the details that matter. So, for example, if you simply asked for an email summary of research, the person to whom you've delegated might not spend a lot of time making sure that all the grammar and all the punctuation and all the citations were absolutely correct. But when that person knows that you actually would like to cut and paste directly from their work product into a final document, then they will spend more time on those details that matter. So step 4 is explain. Step 5 is just confirming the expectations. You want to confirm that what you said is what the person heard. Oftentimes when we get work product back from someone to whom we've delegated and it doesn't meet our expectations, we think, why didn't this person ask me questions? They clearly didn't understand what I wanted them to do. And oftentimes the reason is they didn't know that they didn't understand, because what you said was not what they heard. So when we confirm our expectations with this person to whom we're delegating, we make sure that we're all on the same page. Step 6 is to engage in questions with the person to whom you're delegating. Let this person ask you questions. Maybe there's something that is not clear based upon the way that you described it. Maybe they don't completely understand the context, so they have questions about the context or the big picture. And it's a good idea to ask this person to whom you're delegating to explain the task and the desired work product and the deadline back to you. This, again, ensures that you're both on the same page, that what you said is what they understood, and it makes it less likely that you'll be disappointed in their work product. Step 7 is checking in. And I call this the waiter rule because you're going to check in 3 times. And I'll explain why I call it that. So this is after the task has been started. The person has gotten the task, you've explained it, and they've gone to start doing the work. Now, you're not going to micromanage it, because if you do, you're not saving yourself any time, and you're frustrating the person that you delegated to because they don't feel like they have, you don't trust them to do the work, right? So I do want to tell you one caveat for this check-in rule. This is a workshop on how to delegate effectively. So because this is about the person that is delegating, I'm putting the onus on you as the person who's delegating to do all of the checking in. Now, in practice, the person handling the task should also do the checking in. This is important that you, as the person who is doing the delegating, do the checking in to lead by example and make it clear what is appropriate as far as checking in goes. And this is also really important when you're still building trust in a relationship with someone. After you've worked together for a while, you may not need to check in this much. And it may be that the person to whom you've delegated knows to come check in with you. But in the beginning, and because we're focused on the person who's doing the delegating, I'm putting it on you to do the checking in. Okay, so check in 3 times, the waiter rule. So when we used to go out to restaurants and eat out before there was a pandemic, the waiter would come and check on us shortly after we started our meal, after we got our food. And the reason the waiter would wait until we got our food and wait a few minutes to come check in is because he's giving you time to look at your food, see if anything's missing, maybe check to see if your steak is cooked the way that you wanted it to be cooked. He's giving you a little time to see what's there before he checks in and sees if you need anything. And that's what we want to do with the person to whom we've delegated. We want to give that person some time to get into the task. And after they get into the task, they may have more questions. So that is when we want to check in, shortly after the person has started the task. The second time you want to check in is midway, and the waiter does this as well. About halfway through your meal, the waiter will come over and ask, can I get you anything else? And this is the point in time where you might need some more water or another glass of wine, another beer, some more salad dressing, whatever it is. And we want to check in with the person to whom we've delegated midway as well. And the reason we want to do this is the same reason that the waiter wants to check in midway, is to ensure that your meal is going the way that you want it to go. You're still on track. And that is the case when we check in midway. We want to make sure that the person to whom we delegated is still on track, while there's still plenty of time to get back on track if they have gotten off track. So we want to check in midway. The third time we want to check in is near the end, and this is what the waiter does as well. So after your plates have been cleared, the waiter will come and ask, can I get you anything else? Would you like a dessert menu, maybe some coffee? Because the waiter wants to ensure that your meal concludes in the way that you want it to. We want to check in to the person to whom we've delegated to ensure that the work product we get is what we anticipated. So this is the point where we make sure that the deadline will be met and that everything is still on track. Step 8 is the review process. So this is after you get the work product back and you review it and you provide positive feedback and you address any problems with constructive criticism. It's really important for morale and to motivate others to improve, to start with positive feedback and then address problems with constructive criticism. You want the people that are working with you to want to work with you. And you also want to help them get better at doing their job. And that's not just about helping them. That's about helping you get the results that you need. So when you give constructive criticism, you are helping that person get better at giving you what you need whenever you delegate to them. There's always at least one positive thing you could say. It might simply be, thank you for meeting the deadline. But there's always one positive thing that you can say, and you should start with that. This is also a good time to ask for feedback about you as a person who's delegating. This can be challenging in an environment that has a hierarchy, so that perhaps a junior associate is not comfortable giving constructive criticism to a partner. So one way that you can get feedback about the process is to ask a positive question, such as, was there anything in the way that I delegated the task that was helpful to you? So that opens the door for the person to whom you delegated to give you some feedback without it feeling overly negative. All right, we just have a few more minutes. So let's just talk briefly about what tasks to delegate. So when we think about what tasks we can delegate, there's 3 main areas that we can delegate: ministerial tasks, tasks that we dread or don't like, and repetitive tasks. So you probably know what ministerial tasks are. That refers to tasks that don't require discretion because they follow a predetermined plan and they cannot be changed. So assistants and paralegals in a law firm are handling these tasks often already. But there's other tasks that you may not think of as ministerial, especially in your personal life, that could be delegated. So in a legal environment, other tasks that could be considered ministerial are things like site checking, spell checking, editing, because grammar is what it is, spelling is what it is, citation rules are what they are. They don't require discretion. So those are tasks that could also be delegated. Ministerial tasks in your personal life that could be delegated, then we don't often think of these as ministerial, are things like grocery shopping from a list, or cleaning your house, or ordering products online. There's auto orders you can set up. Don't require discretion. The ClickBot makes it happen for you. So there are things that we can do to delegate those tasks so that we're not responsible for them. Another big one is tasks that we dread or don't like. And this is not just about being happier because we are not doing the things that we don't like to do. It's also about productivity, because when we dread doing something, we often procrastinate. And during that procrastination time, often we're not doing anything that's particularly productive. We're sort of just wasting our time. And when we are handling tasks that we don't like, we often aren't as efficient at doing them because we don't like doing them. So if there are tasks that we dread or don't like, that's a good time to start thinking about, is there someone else that could do this for me? And then the last area is repetitive tasks. And for these, we can set up processes. Reviewing email, you can have your assistant do a first pass on email and let you know which ones are important to be responded to immediately, which ones can be responded to later, maybe which ones can be deleted and don't need to be dealt with by you at all. Returning phone calls to set up meetings, for example, someone else could do that for you. If it's a substantive call, then maybe you have to be the one to make the phone call. But if it's a meeting that needs to be set up, you could delegate that task to someone else. And if you work on the billable hour, you can have someone else enter your time for you. And these are just simple examples of tasks that happen on a routine basis that you could delegate to someone else. I don't want to spend too much time here because we only have a few minutes left. These are just examples of people in your professional and personal life that you could delegate to. So in your professional life, that's people like assistants, paralegals, maybe a managing attorney's office, staff, associates, partners, colleagues. And then also when we think about delegation, don't just think about people, think about services and automation. So for example, document automation software, out of office email and voicemail, that's delegating, letting someone know that you're not available. An email scheduler, in most email programs, you can draft an email today and then have it sent out at a later time. So that's really helpful. And in your personal life, this is a big one. I know oftentimes people cut out self-care items like exercise or spending time doing hobbies, things that they enjoy, where it would be better to delegate some of these other tasks that someone else could handle, that need to be done, but you're not necessarily the one that needs to do them. So the people who could be handling these things for you, and some of it might be virtually in this time right now, is family, friends, and neighbors. If you have children, their school teachers and staff can handle some things. And then paid helpers like babysitters and virtual assistants, house cleaners. And always think about services and automation. So, I don't like shopping for clothes. So I use an online service that sends me clothes, and that saves me time. And also consider if there's technology, an app or other technology that can automate the task for you. I'm going to jump in and see if there are any questions. But right before I do that, I just want to say that I would love to connect with you. Either on LinkedIn, I'm Jamie Spannhake. You can find me there. Or here is my email, jamie@spannhake.com. And I'd love to learn more about what you're doing and share more about what I'm doing. and connect with you. All right, so I'm stopping sharing. And here we go. All right. So let's see. Here's the chat. Thank you, Mark. And thank you, Alex. All right. So thank you very much for joining me today. It has been great to be here. I would love to connect with all of you further. I hope to see you on LinkedIn or get an email from you. And I will see you soon.